Hello and welcome to my presentation entitled Multiple Intelligence Pedagogy on the Special Needs Child. My name is Ian Slater. How can we as educationalists deliver a successful and challenging curriculum to all of our students, but especially those students declared special needs at both ends of the spectrum who, very often, are also those students seemingly disengaged from learning? My consideration is that many special needs students become disengaged from school due to their inability to access, gain a sense of accomplishment, and build a self-esteem within the methodology and pedagogy of the current curriculum. Some of the practices to help such students in many special needs departments may include student withdrawal, in-class support, teacher aids, secure areas, differentiated work, and monitoring. This paper is to demonstrate that a multiple intelligence theory, initially put forward by Howard Gardner, approach towards teaching the special needs child is a powerful tool and one that needs serious consideration and adoption. The MI theory can also be used and considered in mainstream education, but for this paper I will be focusing on the special needs child. Every child can be considered to have a special learning need. After all, are we not all individuals with our own learning styles, strengths, and weaknesses? Is not education an organic rather than a mechanical arena in which children develop at different rates? What I propose is to explore learning styles rather than learning support, and MI theory opens the door to a wide range of teaching strategies that can be easily implemented into the classroom. I would propose that MI strategies be annotated in curriculum programming and taught at teacher training institutions. There are extraneous factors why some students do not engage that are beyond the classroom, but for many perhaps it is the methodology that does not engage or identify with the student or students. The mathematics teacher, for example, teaching mathematics to a mostly mathematical logically minded group, may find it difficult understanding or developing a curriculum to engage the kinesthetic learner, and it's far too easy to say that the student just doesn't get it, or that student is only interested in sport. Times and societal needs are changing. As teachers of specific subject areas, we need to look at how we learn and how we can adapt our specialist curriculum areas to engage all learning styles. Schools have trialled withdrawal and in-class support and found limitations with both, and it can have a profound effect on student self-esteem. Streaming classes presents difficulties as students' perspectives on themselves are affected. Furthermore, there is a lack of opportunity to experience and develop higher-order thinking skills. Mixed ability teaching groups have led to discussions regarding inherent problems, including teachers having to plan what is in effect 4 or 5 lessons in order to address differentiation within the classroom. Ask 10 different people at random what their favourite subject was at school, and you'll probably get 10 different answers. One needs to ask the question, why? Was it the school's resources, the school's expectations, classroom discipline, or the cool teacher? There are extraneous reasons such as parental encouragement and genetic disposition, but I would suggest that the teaching style of the teacher and learning style of the student match in terms of multiple intelligence, or at least the teacher is aware of different learning styles and includes in their programming tasks, methodology and pedagogy that address the learning styles of all. The most important vehicle for assessment with regards to MI theory is one of observation, how students interact, how they manipulate symbols. This method of data collection allows students to demonstrate how they learn in context in real-life situations. Currently, standardized testing is almost always done in artificial settings. Each intelligence has its own key elements to observe and to gauge intelligence preferences. If we agree that there are multiple intelligences, and that in order to deliver an effective curriculum to all students in order for learning to take place, we need to include MI in our practice. We must also agree that there are multiple intelligence forms of assessment. The special needs coordinator needs to look at and advise on student learning styles and give suggestions on methodology to ensure learning styles are addressed, and also to ensure appropriate assessment takes place in order to monitor and gauge students' progress. Rather than using traditional standardized testing, assessments too need to be modified to gauge what the students know by testing them in their learning style or styles. Authentic assessment refers to the multiple forms of assessment that reflect student learning, achievement and attitude in the classroom, and are preferred to standardized testing. Authentic assessment allows for greater opportunity for differentiation within the classroom, that students are tested on what they know in their preferred learning style. The assessments are less pressurised. Assessment feedback helps teachers deliver an appropriate curriculum and preferred learning style to the students. It gives greater scope for teaching to be creative, and the teacher can engage personally with the child and teach and test to their needs. However, authentic assessment tests test what a child knows with little rigour. One can query whether employers and tertiary institutions will recognise the learning and the testing. It isolates you as a teacher, no comparative base. With no standardisation, marks may mean little. And much of our society, certainly our academic society, is literary based, and so authentic assessments have to be justified to ensure rigour. Standardised testing gives good comparison with students across a wide cohort, so schools, teachers and parents can see where a student sits in relation to the rest of the town, state and country. Better rigour of testing, as the tests are overseen by an authorised body with experienced educators collaborating over questions, answers and marking schemes. And the tests have greater accountability. Standardised testing encourages teachers and schools generally to teach to the test, where the focus becomes teaching to testing rather than the curriculum. There have been numerous cited cases of this happening, more recently with the National Assessment Programme for Literacy and Numeracy, NAPLAN. Administratively, standardised testing is difficult for teachers who need to organise timings, room and staffing. Very often there is disagreement on the content and mark allocation. There is some distrust of administration and marking of the tests. There is often disagreement on how the testing is reported, and also disagreement on what happens as a follow-up. Howard Gardner and his colleagues initiated project-based assessments in order to gauge student achievement. These are multiple intelligence-based projects in which many students collaborate under the supervision of a teacher. The students will negotiate many of the decisions of the direction of the project, and this allows them to choose an area in which to specialise and to demonstrate their intelligence. Teachers monitor and assess student working styles, looking for competencies. As an example of how to practically employ MI theory, here is a series of approaches that a teacher might ask students in order to enable English literature students to gain an understanding of the power struggle between the two sisters, Catherine and Bianca, in Shakespeare's The Taming of the Shrew. The two sisters are very different characters and are at odds with each other. The linguistic learner might identify with, read the situation of Catherine and Bianca and imagine you are in a similar situation with your brother, sister or friend and write about your feelings. This is also called intertextuality. For the logical mathematical learner, create a line graph of each character as they score points off each other. For the spatial learner, create the staging you would encapsulate the scene. Where would you have the characters? A visual representation of arrows for the characters' movements. For the bodily kinesthetic learners, act out all or part of a scene. It can be done as a pantomime or as a series of freeze frames. For the musical learners, imagine this is a scene in a musical. Create a song, mood music, incidental music or soundscape that would encapsulate the mood of the characters. For the interpersonal learner, why do these two characters remind you of your own life? This may include teachers, parents, friends, family, and why. For the intrapersonal learner, describe your feelings towards both of the characters, bearing in mind their backgrounds, environment, and upbringing. It is important to note, however, that students need to be able to articulate their reasons for a colour, a sound, a movement, or other abstract portrayal, as the English language teacher is not an artist, musician, or dancer, and therefore cannot assess effectively. A balanced delivery of the curriculum will benefit all learners and can only enhance their learning. An MI approach towards special needs provides a framework for the teacher of how their students learn. It is a model for targeting successful learning rather than a traditional approach that limits learning. MI assessment gives the students a sense of achievement and experiences success. When students can experience schools with positive experience because of an impressive musical activity and performance, a sporting success, notable artwork, prepared speech, demonstrating leadership qualities or demonstrating empathy towards others, they are more likely to work and improve in other areas of the curriculum. MI theory by itself cannot change learning needs of students, but it does change the way that teachers think and plan for their students. The greatest value of MI is the ability of the special needs and specialist teacher to organise specialist instructions for their students. MI provides diversity rather than a one-size-fits-all approach to teaching. The paradigm of the special needs curriculum would change from one of a deficit to one of a positive paradigm, and growth and working from what a child can do and how they learn.